Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just on the agenda, do we have any adjustments or amendments?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved. For announcements tonight, we are climately challenged here today, so we have an air conditioner running. So I'm going to ask everyone who is speaking at the table to please speak up for the benefit of the microphones and also everyone who is in the room here tonight. The only other thing I do want to mention, on July 6th was the 4th of July celebration down at Peroni Park. I did not attend myself, but I heard it was a wonderful time, and I want to thank everyone who was involved organizing that and running that, despite the weather and all the uncertainty, particularly Alan, who's our champion for getting everyone involved. So thanks to everyone involved for that. And I'll open up for public input if there's anyone for public input. Being none, next item on the agenda is a joint appointment of Parks Commissioner by the BOS and the Parks Commission. I'll ask the members of the Parks Commission to please come forward. Hello.
Where do you want us?
Right up there.
Anyway.
Yep. Yeah.
Parks need to call to order.
They do not.
They do not. Okay. You want to lead the discussion on this one?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Selectmen, members of the Parks Commission, for the record, there is a vacancy on the Parks Commission. The Parks Commission, as the board is aware, is an elected body. Therefore, to replace the vacancy requires a joint appointment process of the Board of Selectmen and the members of the Parks Commission. The position was advertised, the vacancy was advertised for 2 weeks here at the town hall, on all of the town's various internet outlets as well. There are 2 candidates this evening for consideration by the joint body. As is per the statute, Mr. Chairman, each candidate would come before the joint body, be offered an opportunity to make a brief statement. The committee then can ask any questions. Motions can be taken. An individual would be appointed by a simple majority of the joint appointment. The town clerk is here tonight to swear that individual in, and that person would serve until the next election in April of 2020.
Okay.
And so the 2 candidates by the deadline, which was Friday, were Mr. Jeff Testa and Mr. Jason Leone. Okay. So it maybe start.
Shall we start with Jeff? Mr. Testa, would you come on up, please?
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Welcome.
Good to
Thanks for
see you.
coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate you putting your time in here, and I wanted to say that I was interested in this, as I put in my letter, just to help to see the town grow in the parks areas, in the rec areas. I work with a lot of the kids, have been since my 16-year-old has been in Boy Scouts, my daughter's in Girl Scouts. I've had camp outs, and I coach various programs, soccer, basketball. Done that because I think it's good not only to let them play sports and get that competitive, but it also teaches them lessons about teamwork, family, what's important, no matter if we win or lose, what's going to happen, things like that. So I like to expand that and support the town in any way that I can.
So the position's open until 2020. If appointed, would you be seeking re-election in the spring?
Yes.
Would this be a long-term commitment?
Yes.
Excellent. Open up to any other questions any other members have.
It's sort of along the same lines. I'm hoping that if you weren't selected tonight, you would still continue to serve on your current park committees that they help us out with on soccer
Absolutely.
and basketball. And maybe can you talk about what you do with those boards today and any other town experience you have?
Yeah, no, mostly the town experience is with the boards. So I'm on the Ayer Shirley Youth Soccer Board, have been for several years. Also on the Ayer Shirley Youth Basketball Board. So last year was my first year. So again, take part in those as well as clinics and coaching several teams on those probably since my daughter's in 7th grade now. My son's going into 11th grade.
I don't have any other further questions. Anyone else have any further questions? Okay. Jeff, thank you for your input.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
So next is Jason Leone. Jason, why don't you come on up, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. So I'm Jason Leone. Thank you for having me. And hearing me speak. As I saw the opening, it kind of brought me back, and I thought the recreation that I kind of took for granted as a kid, and ultimately led me to years of high school sports and college sports, and ultimately choosing education as a career and coaching for many years. Only to stop and coach my 3 kids when they became involved in the Ayer programs, just to hopefully give some of that expertise to that I'd had through the schools to my kids and the other kids of the town, and that has been in the baseball, soccer, and basketball programs has been very rewarding. So as a member of the Parks Commission, I would hope to only expand the opportunities that are available to our kids, to give them the same opportunities that I was fortunate enough to have. It would also be my hope to take the programs that we have and expand upon them to represent the increasing population and the more diversity that's coming into town. So.
I'll ask the same question. So the appointments through 2020, would you seek re-election?
Yes.
Post, okay, so there's a long-term commitment. We'll open up to other questions from other individuals.
Same question.
Yeah, I mean, the outcome of tonight would not at all hinder my desire to be involved in the sports, and I mean, ultimately beyond sports. As I kind of thought about my remarks tonight, it's like I would think, maybe my limited understanding of what the Parks Commission does, like there are so many offerings outside of team sports that are needed to touch all of the interests in the town. So I would hope to stay involved in those in any way.
And I know for me, running, being responsible for Ayer basketball, I have with Jason and Jeff here, the 3 of us make up the basketball committee. So I mean, it's fortunate to have you all here. But aside from joining basketball this year, do you have any other experience on town committees or boards?
Not boards, coaches, but not boards.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, Leone. All right. So we have two viable candidates.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you want us to say?
Well, so my thought is, and Janice, if you feel differently, please speak up. It's your commission, so if you have a preference, I'll take a motion from either one of you.
Sure. Then I would make a motion that we appoint Jeff Testa to fill out the position until the next election. Again, be fortunate to have 2 great candidates, and look forward to having them both serve long term.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Testa.
Thank you all.
Mr. Leone, thank you very much for your interest. Appreciate it.
We look forward to seeing more of it.
Yes.
I'll be around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
The town clerk is in her office. Swear him in.
Okay. All right, the town clerk is in her office if you want to get sworn in. Thanks, everyone. Up next is a change of hours request for the vineyard at 63 Park Street. Please.
How are you?
Evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Just basically like to change the hours. We were a beer and wine store before, now we're full liquor. So we just want pretty much the same hours that everybody else has. So we're looking for 9 to 10. Some of the stores are 8 to 10, and some of them are 9 to 11. And we're just like in the middle of the road. That's basically it.
Okay, just to reiterate for everyone, so you're proposing 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday hours will remain the same.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I just want to get,
Yeah, that's fine.
make sure it's loud enough for everyone
Yep,
here.
perfect.
So we have a correspondence from Chief Murray that there are no issues with this request. I have no problems with it myself.
I have no problem. How's the business been?
Good.
We came all
Yeah,
over.
it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
I have no issues.
Okay. Any motion for approval?
I make a motion that the new hours requested by the vineyard be approved.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. Thanks again.
So Jeff,
See ya.
we'll connect,
Thank you.
we'll connect tomorrow and we'll switch licenses out. So I have to give you the new hours.
Okay, great.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night. Next is the proposed draft community host agreement with Pharmacy Incorporated.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pomprian.
if there is an objection from the board, I'll ask Mr. Justin Smith to come up to the table. And the board has in your packet a memo from Ms. Antonellis summarizing the terms of the host agreement, and also in the packet are a synopsis put together by Ms. Antonellis of the input from the interdepartmental review. So the purposes for this evening was obviously for the board to meet with the applicant, discuss the business, the host agreement, and take it from next steps from there. So,
Welcome, gentlemen. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure.
For everyone?
Thank you. My name's Dave Gianetta. This is Justin Smith. We actually have a PowerPoint presentation, but I wasn't quite sure what the format is and how we would control that.
No objections to that?
Yeah, we can load it. Do you have it on thumb drive?
Right here,
Oh,
with the USB.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just a single PowerPoint file that should
Okay.
pop up. Thank you. Yep, right there. Thank you.
Okay, just to advance the
Awesome.
slides,
Thanks.
just this arrow right
Great.
there.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, that's great. Thanks for your help. So we are Pharmaseed. Our proposed location is, the 4 is missing, number 4 New England Way in Ayer. And the purpose of us being here today is for the proposal of an adult use marijuana cultivation and product manufacturing facility. So Pharmacy, that was established by Justin Smith, CEO, and myself, David Gianetta, COO. We are both in real estate, both sales and development, with a combined years of experience, 35 years. We are both Littleton residents. We've done work here in Ayer. Justin's a graduate of Suffolk University, and myself, Bentley College. Both of us with bachelor degrees in entrepreneurship and business management. So we felt that given our current career and our vast skills in business, that we take this opportunity and run with this. And and pursue this opportunity for a cultivation facility. We also have applications in individually from one another with 5 other municipalities for licensed marijuana retail establishments. And so the purpose behind this would be to help to create outlets from our cultivation facility to our retail outlets. Yeah, arrow over. Oh, there it is.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. My fault.
There we go.
All right, so our mission at Pharmacy, we're committed to growing the highest quality cannabis products and cannabis-infused products within the state. We plan to do so, as we said, within our state-of-the-art facility. We will adhere to all Massachusetts guidelines regarding growing all aspects of the cultivation, transportation and distribution. We plan to also employ a diverse group of people. We'd like to hire within the town specifically if we can to try to fulfill all of the roles within the facility. We also plan to develop a strong community partnership over time, and we'd like to help underfunded organizations within the community and do our part that way as well. Back to the facility itself. So this is 4 New England Way. Some of you may know it as down by the soy factory off of Westford Road. Currently is about a 19,000 square foot building, as you can see in the gray. It's set up as contractor bays right now, built about 9 years ago. Our plan is to utilize the existing building, and then we have a creative solution to introduce what's known as a flex mod, or there's a number of different companies doing this, but essentially it's a portable growing container, like a shipping container that's been converted. We came up with this for a couple reasons. It allows us to increase our floor space without actually putting a foundation underneath it. So it's kind of nice because it can be transported in, transported out, allows you to scale up, scale down. So the general layout of the floor plan there is we've got within the main body of the building about 10,000 square feet of flower grow space. The modular pods double that. It puts us at just under 20,000 square feet of grow, which would make us a tier 3 cultivation facility. The state rates them based on sizes in between different sizes. So our goal would be to be a tier 3.
So our location, we understand that there's a 200-foot residential bylaw buffer requirement to the residential zone. So we well exceed that. We had our civil surveyor come out and actually measure from the corner of the building to the center line of the street is actually 916 feet. So if we do go lot line to lot line, we're about 700 plus feet away. So we well exceed the 200-foot bylaw. This is just another detail of what the flex mods look like. They are portable. They would be delivered by truck, set by crane. We would adhere them to the existing building. So they're not a permanent structure. However, they are protected in that they are secured to the building. So it's not like someone could walk off with them or drive off with them.
Yeah, so some of the finances, the market that we're projecting basically to start, so this would be the first full year of operations, so whenever that actually is, that it's up and running, able to produce maximum capacity, probably about 6 months in. So we're projecting about 12,000 pounds within that floor plan of actual pounds of marijuana that we can produce. What that looks like is basically, if you see at the bottom, the wholesale price per pound. So in the first year, we expect that to probably be about 3,000, let's say by the end of next year. So that puts you at a $36 million gross sale for the first year. Basically what that means for the town is 1% of that. So on a first year, if it did that number, it's about gross sales of what we're projecting within the HCA. It doesn't matter what the net income is. It would be a $360,000 payment to the town, reflecting the HCA. And as you can see, those numbers sort of climb with what we're able to grow over the years. And generally speaking, we can maintain close to those numbers. So.
The thought process to why, there may be a question, why are the numbers declining? Because as you can understand, that as the market grows and this becomes a more common occurrence, we're going to have more competition out there in the marketplace with more supply, thus reducing our total revenue. But we feel strongly, based on our projections, that we should remain, like Justin said, within that 300K plus to the town. Security of the facility, we've actually already met with Chief Murray and with myself, Justin, and our Chief of Security, who we've hired as a consultant. He's a former Chief of Police in Rochester, New Hampshire, where New Hampshire had their first cultivation facility. So he was there for about 5 years during that time that cultivation was in place. So he's very well versed. We will look to him to help us to not only secure the facility, but also be our security liaison to the town. So in the event that there are any questions or concerns security related, he can be the point of contact above and beyond us. But in place, we have shared our security plan with the chief. We do intend on working with the chief and finalizing that based on any of his recommendations and feedback. Through our building, we're going to have positive ID through ID verification scanners. We're going to have secure transportation and delivery processes, alarm systems, video surveillance. If necessary, we're more than happy to tie that video surveillance in to Air Police, so that way at any given moment they can have boots on the ground and see what's happening at our facility if need be, if it was a concern. And then of course, electronic access control. So that is what we have today. We appreciate the opportunity to meet with you today and to explain what our goal is here.
Well, thank you very much. So you're in the process of getting the building spec'd out for what you're looking for. Are you moving ahead and looking to open, like what would be your time frame to open the doors?
So it's a pretty extensive fit out. As Justin mentioned, currently we're working with contractor base. That's the positive part of this. This is not a brand new building for us to have to build, although it is a young building. So to work with it is going to be beneficial to us. So time frame, our thought is the fit out total is probably going to be about 1 year. Yeah, and we'll invest probably somewhere between $3 and $4 million into that fit out. Yeah.
Once we have the ability to, if we have the HCA, it should be about 1 year. Because we would obtain the HCA, then go to the state, file on the state level. Once that's approved, come back for special permit within the town. And then at that point, you really should wait for a provisional license from the state to start building. But that's sort of a gray area. You could take that gamble and get going if you wanted to save on time. But I think with the building we have, it does represent a fast time to market. There's a lot of buildings that are new buildings from the ground up, which it takes a lot longer. So,
James, you have any thoughts?
I'm gonna have one for me, but
Okay, so you met with Chief Murray. Fire department seems to have no issues so far. Building commissioner said they worked with you through the process, and conservation commission has no issues. So,
And Mr. Chair, just to clarify, it still needs to go, this is very conceptual at this point, so as they mentioned, they'll still need to go to the planning board for a special permit, so all the departments will see the details. We don't have those details yet, because this is literally the first step in the process. So Robert and I are pleased that they've met with Chief Murray ahead of time. That's a big help. And once written in our newly passed bylaw, they need to have some provisional approval from the state before they can apply with the local permitting boards. So we'll go through the regular process just a little later down the road.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, sort of, so when we get to the more conversation about the host agreement, I know that so far we've talked about the 1%, so I'm trying to figure out in this host agreement, what else is going on. I know you said like underfunded programs and whatnot. So just thoughts going through my head, and I don't even know if they're feasible programs, if they're right, but just to kind of get an idea as to some things that kind of thought about. I mean, I know we have the DARE program, so obviously we want probably some funding into that. Anything that Chief Murray or Chief Pedrazi came up with. But for some reason, something that popped in my head while we were sitting here, I don't even know why it popped in my head, but like some type of a reading program. I don't even, we always talk about the DARE programs and or Welcome to Air sign and things like that. And for some reason now I'm thinking about what about a reading program? I don't even know if it's needed. But some type of other, like a youth program or something. And not necessarily always sports oriented either, because there are some kids who are not into sports. What about some type of robotic, something like that. We have a lot of robotics up at the school. So those are kind of things that just off the top of my head,
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
So, I appreciate you bringing that up. So, just another quick background. Justin and I, both fathers. I'm a father of 3. Justin 1. So we have young children. So, totally in agreement with your thought process, and we'd like to work with the town of Ayer as far as developing something there. The thought process behind the HCA payment is for the funds to come into the town and get allocated appropriately. We are also open to discussing if the town would like to work with us as far as where everyone sees those funds to be allocated appropriately. We're more than happy to help with that process as well. Another thought that we have had and we've discussed is the thought process behind why we want to hire local is because a local group of employees would be more so likely willing to contribute back to the town. And the way that we would develop that program would be internally, and we would be paying our employees actually for community service hours. So if we're discussing with the town and we understand that there's a park that needs to be cleaned up, or if there's some veterans that need help, or whatever it may be, the thought process is our employees are motivated and they have that attachment to the town of Ayer. We're right next door in Littleton. We're very in touch with Ayer, and we want to help the town as much as we can. So it's those types of programs too that we're willing to contribute to internally to pay for our employees' time off away from our facility to then help out with community service time to the town.
In the overall process, at what point can we finalize the host agreement?
So if I may, what I would do is, really the meat of the host agreement is the 1%. What I'd recommend, if you're comfortable with the 1%, we can certainly mull it over, but our next step, Robert and I, would be just to send it to council to review. So if conceptually you're okay with the 1%, then we'll work with town council just to go over, the details, the legalese of the document, and then come to agreement with both parties, and then we execute it. And then by having that, they can apply to the state. They're unable to apply without a signed agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no problem sending it to council. Do you want to have Selectmen only weigh in on it?
I have no problem sending it to council.
So why don't we send it off to town council and get their feedback on that?
Great.
Perfect.
We'll take next step
And
in the
then
process.
we'll be in touch. I'll be in touch when I hear back from them, and if we need to bring it to the August meeting, obviously we can do that.
That'd be perfect.
Sound good?
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it very much.
Your train of thought.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Mark Wetzel. Thanks for your help, by the way.
You're welcome.
Mark Wetzel, DPW Superintendent, is up next. Mark, welcome.
I'm tagging along. Dan Vanstock with engineering.
That is Van Scalvin.
Some reading.
Yeah, this was in your packet, so did you guys all check it out?
Well, yeah, I can see how Paul was last time, so yes.
Knocks me right out. Page 3.
So we have, we've been quite busy at the DPW with both construction, ongoing construction, and with some upcoming construction projects. One thing I did want to mention, since we had the marijuana host agreement ahead of us, and I meant to bring it, and I just spaced it out because I had a big box I had to carry out. I got a check in the mail from Central Ave Comfort Care for our Youth Works program, so again, Compassionate Care. So they, again, have sponsored the program. It's a check for over $30,000. We're just completing our first, we do 2 4-week sessions with 4 kids in each session. We're just completing the first session this week. It's been real successful. I don't know if you noticed, I had them clean up Main Street before the 4th. They got rid of all the weeds out there and it did a great job. They've done a lot of painting around town. They were doing hydrants all this last week and this week, so they said they never want to paint another hydrant again. But it's been a really successful program. We'll see how it goes Friday when it's 98 degrees out.
Just make sure they stay hydrated.
But like I said, I did get the check, and we did set up a fund for it this year, so we should be in good shape. So the first thing on the agenda is execution of contract for Grove Pond Water Treatment Plant, PFAS treatment facilities. This is the project we've all been waiting for. We opened bids on June 5th and received 2 bids. The low bid was Winston Builders for $3,139,899. We've done, Winston Builders did the upgrade to the Grove Pond treatment plant about 3 years ago. I've worked with them since 1984 on different projects. Have a very good relationship with them. They do a very good job. They're perfect fit for this project. So we recommend award to Winston Builders for $3,139,889, and that is for signature by the chairman.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion's aye. It is approved.
You know, Mark, it's not that big of a box.
If you can leave them there, we'll...
This is volume 1. I have volume 2 in my office.
If it's okay, we'll sign after, and then I'll just put them on my counter. Perfect.
Execution of contract for the water system hydrant replacement. As you know, we appropriate about $250,000 a year to replace water mains. So one of the things we did this year is we put out a contract for replacing 12 of our substandard fire hydrants, kind of scattered throughout town. There were a bunch on Sandy Pond Road, a couple on Snake Hill Road, but they're sort of scattered around. It was one of those things that we always talk about doing and we never get to it, so we put that out. So we received 9 bids, and the low bidder is Cedrone Corporation from North Billerica, $60,500, so we recommend award to Cedrone. They've done 2 projects for us in town previously. They did the water main replacement on Washington Street and the East Main Street water main project. So, and that is for signature by the board.
By the board?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to execute contract with Segura Corporation for the 2019 water system hydrant replacement project.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Approved.
All right, the third contract for execution is the Grove Pond Water Treatment Plant filter media replacement. So we opened bids for this project on June 20th. There were 5 bids, and Winston Builders again was the low bidder. They're also the low bidder for the PFAS treatment, and their low bid was $273,000. And also we included in the contract an hourly labor rate and material markup for any additional services that are required, because once we see the insides of the vessels, there may be some other work we need to do if there's some deterioration to some of the parts or anything. So the requested motion is to vote to execute the contract. Right, that says wrong, but it should be with Winston Builders for the Grove Pond Water Treatment Plant filter media replacement.
All right. I recommend that the board execute the contract for the Grove Pond Water Treatment Plant filter media replacement with Winston Builders Corporation. Is how we'll do tonight.
That's for the signature by the chair.
Signature by the chair.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Approved.
The next contract is the 2019 paving and road treatment contract. What we have to do for our Chapter 90 road paving funding is we bid out a contract for a 3-year period. It's actually 3 1-year contracts. So this is for awarding the 2019 contract. The prices, it's unit prices based on estimated quantities, and the unit prices generally stay the same. We have some escalation clauses for asphalt based on Mass DOT escalation indexes. But what we would do is we would execute an amendment to the contract in a year for the following year, and then another contract after that. So this is, we received 5 bids, and we recommend award to PJ Albert of Fitchburg, Mass. They were the low bidder, and they have been our low bidder for the past 3 years also, so it's just a continuation with the same guys. They do a great job. The estimated quantities and estimated amount of the 2019 contract is $383,089.41 based on my estimates of the roads that we're going to be paving this year. And that is for signature by the chair.
I make a motion that the board execute the contract with PJ Albert Incorporated for FY20 road paving as outlined by the superintendent, signature by the chair.
I will second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Approved.
And we wanted to give you just a brief update on some of our DPW projects. We'll try to keep it brief since it is a little warm in here. So we'll kind of trade back and forth. PFAS, as you notice, we just signed the contract for the construction of the PFAS treatment plant. We're going to have a pre-construction meeting on Thursday. At that point, we'll know what the contractor's schedule is, but I think he wants to get out there and get going. We also have a temporary treatment system that is installed, tested, and in place, but we're having some issues, and the Army's actually doing that. So we're just working with the Army. Their contractor is putting it in, and that's to treat well 8 so that we can now put that back into the system. We had some startup problems with the pressures being a little too high, so we're making some modifications to the system, and hopefully that will be in service early next week. I don't know if Robert forwards these to you, or I put them online also, the weekly updates. Since the last weekly update, we haven't done any new sampling, but in the July 1st update, we did do sampling out in the distribution system, and based on the Massachusetts Office of Standards and Research guideline, which they recommend a limit of 70 parts per trillion for 5 of the compounds, and our levels in the system ranged from 32 parts per trillion to 37 parts per trillion, which is pretty consistent with what we've been seeing out in the distribution system on previous tests. So we're well below the 70, and it'll, when we get well 8 online, that we'll have full treatment on it, it will be lower than that, and then as we continue with the treatment, we'll pretty soon have PFAS-free water. I think the watering ban is going well, as far as I can tell. We do have a couple, have a few people ratting out their neighbors that they might be sprinkling at midnight or something like that, but, and we are granting variances. There's a lot of new houses going in up on both Nashua Street and Woodland Way, and other people that are doing some landscaping on their yards, and so we will give variances if people have a house and they're trying to establish the property landscaping. And there are conditions on that and how often they can water and what time of day. We have an agreement with the Army that is, I think, this close to getting finalized. They sent me a final copy of the agreement. I had a few comments. I sent it back to them. They sent some comments back on the costs. Apparently, I didn't fill in some numbers on the right blanks for our cost numbers. And don't ask me why, because it says a line item for contingencies, but they said I can't put anything in that line item. So anyways, I fixed that and I sent that back to them. So we should be getting a final agreement any day now. And that's for about just under $5 million to pay for the construction and the engineering inspection during construction, and then for 3 years of operational maintenance. At Spec Pond well field, we, as you know, we approved UDAG money to begin the process out there. So we've completed the survey, completed the wetlands delineation. We've evaluated all the existing systems at the plant, and reviewed the water quality, the pumping rates to come up with the design criteria, and have done a preliminary siting. It's a little tight site, because I don't know if you've been out there to Spec Pond. If you go out, it's really, when you're having coffee with Selectman Hillman, you can just walk down the road. But it's kind of a peninsula with wetlands on both sides, so it's a little tighter than Grove Pond. So we have picked a site that we think will work fine. And other than that, we haven't been getting a lot of calls about the PFAS. I answer every question, every call, or every email that I get. Spend a lot of time explaining what it is and why it's important and what you should do or what you shouldn't do. We're also in touch with the DEP, who are reviewing their standard, and working with Massachusetts Water Works Association on making sure that it's a realistic standard.
I think the information's gaining traction. I find more and more news articles online about it every week, and it's growing beyond just our area, and just the military base, or areas around the military bases.
Yeah, one of the things you need to be careful with on the media, because I was listening on the radio this morning on NPR, they did something about the contamination in New Hampshire at Portsmouth from the air base, and the first person they interviewed was a woman who has kids that drank the water, and it's very easy to blame the water on other health problems. So you need to be a little careful and kind of, filter through the information and really see what it says. But also you can read the opposite where it says, well, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, there is some potential long-term health effects, or we would be talking about it. So, Chapter 90 paving. We actually have about $500,000 in our Chapter 90 account once we closed out our other jobs that had little bits and pieces of money left over in them, and got this year's amount. And then they also gave us at the end of last year an additional $80,000. We're using, how much are we using for Oak and Prospect?
122,000.
So we use 122,000 of that to finish the paving over there. We're also going to be paving Pearl Street, which is about 200,000, and Lower Washington Street, and then we'll reassess where we are money-wise after those projects. We have a few other areas lined up, but we want to see where we are money-wise at that point. You want to talk about the MassWorks grant?
Or Prospect Oak.
Okay.
Yeah, took a little. Prospect and Oak Street, CDBG. J.D. Amico, our contractor, has been working great out there and working on schedule. They currently almost have the water main totally done. They're just working on services out there now, and they've done about half of the drainage work. So I talked to the project manager, and he expects to be reclaiming the road in early August, probably around August 5th to 10th, somewhere in that time range. So we'll start getting into the road work then, road and sidewalks. So that's still cranking along. And then MassWorks grant for West Main Street. And Alan's here too, so feel free to chime in. So we're working together with Mass Development, Alan, Economic Development, in Ayer, and Devon's Enterprise as well, on a grant for the reconstruction of the West Main Street corridor. And it would include a new water main out there. I know water quality is pretty bad. A new interconnection with Devon's, new road, sidewalks, drainage, and we work in green infrastructure. And also, Alan would be doing a form-based code on a certain area out there, so it'll be turned into more of a village-like feel, because it could really use some help out in that area. So we're submitting for a MassWorks grant, which is due August 9th, and we've been meeting regularly with Mass Development on that project. That's all I really had for that one. You want to chime in? Yeah. So the next project we're working on is the DPW Highway Storage Garage. So it's a pre-engineered metal building, which is due to be delivered sometime in mid-August. And right now the contractor is on site getting the foundation ready. So they've been doing excavating out there, and it's moving along. So I don't know if you have anything else there.
No.
And then the final thing we wanted to talk about was Mass DOT's been doing a couple projects in town. One are the sidewalks on Harvard Road, so from the Rotary to East Street, I think it is. So they're putting a sidewalk to fill that gap in, and then another sidewalk on Fitchburg Road from Shop and Save to Tiny's.
Yeah, the MassDOT has this Complete Streets program, and the fund, they provide funding to towns so we have a Complete Streets prioritization plan. Unfortunately, those are probably two of the biggest sidewalk gaps in town, and they're on the state highway, so even if we put them in our prioritization plan, we can't build them, they have to build them. And so I've been for years bothering them about when are you going to do those, and finally this year they didn't give up. We applied for the second time for a grant on School Street and didn't get it, and so I started complaining about, you guys got to walk the walk too. If we're gonna, because we do a lot of sidewalk improvements and pedestrian improvements and bicycle lanes and things like that. next thing I know, they said, well, we're going to go out and do those sidewalks for you. So I think they're just
they did
about
a good
done.
job getting them going. Yeah, so they have the ADA ramps. They have the forms in place, so they just got to finish up ADA ramps and do a top course of pavement, and then tidy up the back sides of the sidewalk, loam and seed, and they're just about there. And the other project is the Rotary. It's a tree planting and stormwater improvement project. And they, when they got out there, they discovered our water main cuts through a good portion of their proposed stormwater basin. So we're meeting with them tomorrow at our office to go over relocation of the water main. And then once they get that squared away, they'll move forward. So kind of holding pattern. But
It's not really something that's easy to relocate, but
It's not too bad. There's plenty of, the problem was out there is there used to be, I don't know when they changed it, there used to be roads out there, and then they created the rotary, so the water main followed the road. And,
so it's not our fault.
oh, no. And, and water mains, we have records that show stuff, and as we found today with the sewer pipe that we hit, they're not always accurate, even though it says record drawing and it's this far from here. So
Circle was constructed in 1941. Folks don't realize it's that old.
yeah, so I wasn't surprised that our plans weren't accurate. I was a little surprised that they hadn't gone out and kind of tried to make sure there wasn't anything out there. But anyway, so.
Because I was wondering why everything just stopped.
Yeah. Well, and also, if it's a town project and we find something like that, we make decisions in a hurry. Well, with MassDOT, it's back to, this division has to talk to this division, that has to talk to the engineer, and then the engineer has to come out and reassess it, and it takes weeks to.
If it goes
get
to
decisions.
Boston, forget about it.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. So, all right, anything else?
One thing I'll just kind of throw out there, so down on Selectmen's questions, Mr. Selectman Hillman had asked about some information on underground electric on Park Street. I don't know exactly what context he was looking for the information. I think as we look to redo the Park Street corridor.
Right, and I talked to Mr. Diskin, who's on the planning board, about that also, because with the form-based code, one of the things that you notice there is the power lines. And we looked at it as, for part of the East Main Street project, could we put it underground? It's very expensive. For a couple reasons. Number one is, it's expensive to actually bury the wires, but then you also have to get from the street wire into the house. Now you're working on private property, so you have to get easements to do that. And then if the electric service in the house isn't up to code, you have to bring that up to code. So you can imagine if you're in a new neighborhood, it's not a big deal. But if you're, like up in Pingree or some of the new subdivisions, everything's underground. But where you're going from overhead to an underground, I think I figured on East Main Street it would add $2 to $3 million to the project. I have an article that someone did an analysis of it for another community that was looking at that, and I can share that with Selectmen.
Thank you for the information.
Good job.
Thanks.
Handle your box. That's a small box.
That's Harley's now. She's in
Yes,
charge.
it's now my fault. I just have to reprint that with a change.
Just the top one.
Yeah.
Both of us, I assume?
Yep. Thank you.
I'm trying to think, I didn't know what you're talking about.
Director of Economic, Community and Economic Development, Melanie.
Sir,
Welcome.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
How are you this evening?
Very well, thank you. Okay, yeah, okay. This item is part of the community host agreement with Compassionate Care. One of the items agreed to on that agreement was the provision by Compassionate Care of $12,000 to fund the creation and installation of a Welcome to Air sign. So we've been working on this, and probably about a couple of months ago, we came before you all. We showed you some a couple of visual examples to get your preference, your design preference. The one that you all cited, and you see the image placed up there, was this one from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, a nice, very rough, rustic cut, really neat. We then went out and contacted three granite monument companies, one being Fletcher Granite, the other being Hathaway out in Leominster, I believe Leominster, and then Swenson Granite in Amherst, New Hampshire. We provided them with the specifications. Fletcher came back with us with an estimate of about $3,300 for the single, sign. The issue with that, though, is they do not do installation at all. And installation is a necessity for us, that the company needs to do the installation. Hathaway came in at $12,000. Quite a differential, which is interesting to me. Nonetheless, fine. Swenson, we like doing business with Commonwealth of Massachusetts companies, Swenson, Amherst, New Hampshire. They came back with a cost estimate of $4,400. And that is including installation, bringing it in, cranes, everything, dropping it, so, the whole work. So we're recommending, to go with Swenson. We then followed up with them and said, could you do this for us to help us a little bit, because it's visual important for you folks to assist you in making your final design decision. Carly and I actually asked them if you could do literally a mock-up of this with the granite texture and all, and I went back and forth. I got back, well, we'll do, a rough outline of it. We'll show you the lettering, the scale of it. And then they provided another image to us showing the actual granite color and texture, and that the lettering you see there, Welcome to Air, with the established, would be cut and sized into that granite and would be painted black. So it's really a vivid contrast. And again, very simple, pure, bold design of Welcome to Air. I don't know if you want to say Welcome to Air-MA or just Air, but it looks like, Air is fine, established 1871.
I like to think that when they come into Air...
I would hope they know they're in, yes. I thank you, quite right.
Yeah.
I don't know that there is, by the way, another town or city by the name of Air in the country, actually. Okay, anyway.
Get back to us on that.
Okay. Right. The only other design element is contractually included in it is the Hillier family, and the actual contractual agreement says that it actually says in our agreement that it will be incised or cut into the back of the sign. However, in this case, because of where this sign's going to be placed, and I don't know, Carl, do we have that image of the location?
Yep.
I did.
They have it in their packet.
Okay, all right, but you all know we're
Where
putting
the
it.
old flower pot used to be.
That's right,
from
the old
the rotary
thing.
on East
Yes.
Main. I've had to tell quite a few people. So
Yes.
they're like, oh, that's why the flower pot.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. And in that case there, the advantage of having it there is it's a two-sided sign, so you're going to see both coming into the town and heading out. So in that case, the contractual said that the wording is quite interesting, that this sign was made possible through funding for the legalization of cannabis. This is what is in the contractual agreement that this will say, but it says that will be incised on the back of the sign. In this case, it's really not going to accommodate it because we have the welcome on both sides. There is no back, if you will, of this sign. I will be meeting with John and Mark Hillier on Thursday of this week, and we're going to review and just look at this. I took a little attempt, and you see there, of maybe putting a little sort of plaque type thing, but Carly and I have conferred a design, and what we'd like to do is to place that type of plaque so it's not on the face of these signs, but on the top shelf of the sign, if you will. And as we've agreed, where this sign's going to be, you will not be able to read or see that sign from a car anyway of what that says. And it's more of the type of thing that if someone says, I want to look closer at this, it'll be there. But I'm going to sit down with the Hilliers on Thursday, review this, and if they are comfortable with this design approach, you know, we would recommend proceeding. So, at this point, if the general design composition suits you all and you feel comfortable with it, we're prepared to make this happen pronto.
Like, how pronto is pronto?
Thank you. And there I go again, just saying pronto. Okay.
People have been asking.
Certainly. The fabrication of the sign, cutting it, delivering it, I would say realistically, probably I would say a month, realistically. And hopefully that is longer than will be, but I think you were going to be looking at least 4 weeks for a turnaround, perhaps more. But what we will do, we will make every effort to accelerate this and do what we do, saying, we need to get this done, we need to get it out here. And we hope to do more work with you in the future if you can do that.
So you had mentioned having writing on both sides of the granite?
Yes.
Welcome air on both sides?
Yeah, in this case...
Talk about that, like when you're leaving, going onto the rotary, you're not really entering air, so you're...
Right, and it's the, normally what you do if a sign like this is right at the town line, where often you do see these, unfortunately in our case, there is literally no place you could, on our town line, coming in that whole run, it just doesn't exist. This is so sort of into the town, if you will, we thought, well, once you're, heading eastward out of the rotary, you're still in air. People are doing you're in air for quite a bit, actually, another 1.5 miles or 2 miles. So, but again, that's over here with you. It's really what you think the design approach should be. The other interesting thing, now we have $12,000. Here we're looking at $4,400, so there's an opportunity, frankly, to place another sign. And maybe we could look for a place closer to a town line. I went out and really looked for any places where you could do it eastward. Nothing exists where you could put this. Do we want to look at maybe doing something on our western gateway? Perhaps. Say, welcome here. Do we want to look at maybe doing something on our northern gateway coming down, past Tiny's or something like that? Welcome here. So
Definitely on the West Main Street side.
yes, you think that? Yes.
That's a huge gateway, and it would be nice to kind of get something of oomph.
And that might. Yeah, right. Quite right.
Put it on top of the photo.
There it is. And in that case, one side would say welcome there, and what would the other side say as you're leaving there?
Farewell.
That thing, you think like I would say farewell, from air. Okay, right. I don't think you want to say, in tourist places, they'll say, come again. No, we're not a tourist town. This is where people live and work.
Y'all come back now.
But, well, if we want to put a...
I remember having the conversation about the writing on both sides. I don't remember what the consensus was though at the time, though. But I'm fine with just writing on the one side, the welcome to air as you come in, but...
I don't like the idea of the farewell from air on the one.
No, we weren't on that one. We're saying welcome to air on both. Or if you think, that you don't want it on both sides, we could do that.
One side, but
Yeah, I think
because it seems a little awkward as you're leaving, because downtown, you get to the East Main and the downtown corridor, that's like the heart of our town.
Yep.
I feel like if you're been through that, it's not really a walk.
Yeah, we were thinking at our when we last discussed it, doing both sides, so you're not just driving into the rotary and looking at just a slab of granite, like we thought, at least dress it up. Maybe it doesn't say welcome to air.
Established 1871 on the back.
And maybe you can just say air.
Yeah, I think, because I was thinking the same thing, something should be there. We should have like a town flag.
What about the seal?
We have a town seal. Actually, Selectman Livingston, I think you just hit on something right there. Why don't we do an enlargement of the town seal and simply saying air? I think that's it, and it's...
How much would that cost, though?
It shouldn't escalate the cost substantially to do something like... Our town seal is not terribly detailed. It's not... I think that is actually... I think that is...
Yeah, on the one side, the town seal, and on the other side, welcome to Eric's
Yeah, let's
1871.
let's see how much that costs and.
Yes, I'll get the
I think
price.
Putting a second sign over on West Main is a great
Yeah,
idea.
which, by the way, would really support what we're trying to do on West Main Street, really showing this is going to be a place. We're going to make it a place, not just, let's get past here as fast as I can.
I like that idea.
Yeah, the town seal.
And there it is.
There it is.
And
Yes.
if I did that, I would do that really at a large scale in the back of that, so you really can see it, in your car moving. And that, I think, would
That
be
would
really
be
powerful.
nice.
I think
that would
that's,
be
I think it's an
Heading towards
outstanding
the
idea.
rotary.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Carly?
Heading towards the rotary.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you don't even have to put.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to put
anything
air or anything. There it is. It can, we'll do it if it's, so let me get a mock-up that, put it on, and I think that is actually a really outstanding idea.
else. That's nice.
Yes.
It is, that is the town flag. That's the one at the State House.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, so we'll proceed with that. We'll meet with the Hilliers, we'll get a final, and then if you folks are set, we're going to order the sign and get it there.
I didn't know if, go back to the photo, if, you had to have that little plaque that was donated
That's
by...
probably not how it's going to turn out.
That's what he's got to
though.
double check is with
Yeah.
Hillier, because it's contractually what we have to put. So he was going to work with Hillier as to where to
Could you
put
put
it.
it on one of the, like on the flat part of... yeah, one of there, just a little plaque there.
Yeah, I was
Kinda
also
doesn't
thinking laying flat, like not sticking up on the top, but lay it flat across
As
the
a
top.
shelf
and,
on the top
Like
shelf.
just drill it down, so if you walked over, he just kind of wanted something to memorialize and recognize the historical importance of passing marijuana. So yeah, and Alan, is our sign gonna have these things?
Yes, we'll have those
Yeah,
rough
so
base, so it's set
either on
on.
those, or, yeah, it's a good idea.
All right, so I can bounce either option on the top shelf
Yeah.
or either,
Right,
okay,
perfect.
very good. And the Hilliers, they're great folks to work with, and I know we'll come to a decision on Thursday. We'll get it out, and we will make this happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So picking up grapes. Carpets. It's too much pressure.
Thank God he didn't bring swatches for us. It would have been even worse.
Mr. Conrian, you're up next.
All right, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. In the interest of time, just briefly under the administrative update, the MART project is moving forward. It is actually slightly ahead of schedule and on budget, so we're happy with that. I will be meeting with respective department heads with MART regarding some matters with the parking facility moving forward, and once we have that meeting, I'll report back from that. One of the main focus of the administration, obviously this time of year, is the closing out of FY 2020 and already preparing for the FY 21 budget process. As the board is aware, and in the interest of time, maybe for the August meeting, under my report, I'll highlight some of the positives. We received a very positive finance management letter from the auditors. We have a strong team there, and maybe talk about that a little bit in August. We're also beginning to prepare, I hate to say it, but for the special fall town meeting already, which is scheduled for Monday, October 28th. We do know that there'll be a wetlands bylaw. The Conservation Commission is moving on that. There'll be a planning bylaw having to do with the Pettapawag district in another matter, which we'll brief the board on for the August meeting. The West Main Street form-based code, probably something with the Spec Pond borrow authorization for the second PFAS plant, and we'll have more to discuss on that. And of course, a bylaw related to the election, moving the election and moving town meeting. So I'm going to respectfully request that the board actually open the warrant at the August meeting when we set that date. I know it's hard to rush the summer, but so we can begin to set the stage. With that, unless there are any questions from the board, I'll get right into the action items. The warrants that I reviewed and approved since the board last met are in the packet. The First action item are 2 appointments for the Cultural Council, which we're pleased to have. I'm respectfully recommending that the BOS appoint the following individuals to the Ayer Cultural Council, Ms. Claudia Abes, to an unexpired 3-year term, with the term expiring on June 30th of 2021 to the Ayer Cultural Council, and Ms. Sarah Callahan to an unexpired 3-year term, with the term expiring June 30th of 2021.
So moved.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. With these 2 appointments, what does that do for the quorum status for the cultural?
They'll have a quorum, they'll have a
So they
quorum.
do officially have quorum, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
There was the issue with the state having to.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Excellent.
Who made that motion, Janice?
Janice.
Okay, just double check.
The second action item which we discussed, which the board discussed previously, has to do with the rate review committee. As previously discussed, the appointments to the rate review committee have been 1-year appointments, and the discussion was about moving those to be 3-year appointments, more consistent along with, say, capital planning and so forth. And so we looked into that, and I'm respectfully recommending that the board take a formal vote to change the length of the rate review committee resident appointments and business community appointment from a 1-year to a 3-year term. And the rest of the committee are ex officio from the staff. So if the board wanted to change it to 3, it'd be a motion to make the resident appointments and the business appointment from 1 to 3. And if that's the will of the board, then respectfully, a second motion would be to appoint Mr. Rick Scotchless and Miss Mary Spinner, who are our residents, members, to a 3-year term to June 30th of 2022. And the business is vacant right now.
And this came up at our last meeting, right?
Right,
So to
I
move
brought it
from
up,
1
and
to 3.
it kind of aligns it better, with some of their other committees and everything. And, but I think for Mary, I think we decided, we discussed, this perpetuity.
That could be the will of the board.
Yeah, so.
I'll make a motion to change the length of the term of the rate review committee residential appointments and business community appointments from 1-year term to a 3-year term.
Secondly?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair says aye, was approved. And I will make a second motion to change the term to reappoint the incumbent resident appointments of the rate review committee to a 3-year term. Mr. Scotchless to a term expiring June 30th, 2022, and Ms. Spinner to a term expiring June 30th, 2022.
Secondly?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair says aye. That is approved.
All right, thank you. I don't know if it's the will of the board to maybe pass over the next item, which is the town hall chiller.
Well, yeah, I'm enjoying the warm weather so much.
I'm teasing. If there,
I'm comfy. This is one of the rare times that I'm actually comfy.
yes.
Because usually I'm either freezing or sweating, but right, I'm like
It's definitely better than it was last meeting.
comfy.
Yes, and a special thanks to Mr. Schultz, our facilities director, who set this up, and also
Thank you.
a special thanks to keeping
I
her
told
pretty
you
cool.
he does good work.
He does excellent work. So, before the board, I'm pleased to report we have, for your consideration, authorization by the board to execute the town hall chiller replacement contract. The board is aware the original town hall chiller was almost 19 years old. It failed 2 days after town meeting. We're grateful that town meeting approved the funding for this project. The town issued an invitation to bid in accordance with Mass General Law. We went through the procurement process. We received a total of 6 bids by the deadline of July 10th at 1 p.m. at which time we opened the bids. Of the 6 bids, the lowest and responsive bid for the project was from Ambient Temperature Corporation of Newburyport in the amount of $94,000. Mr. Schultz did his due diligence, checking all of the references, and as the board can see from the bid from Ambient Temperature, they have a lot of experience with similar municipal projects to our need. I was able to, and a special thanks to Superintendent Wetzel for his help on the bid documents, as well as the town engineer, Mr. Van Schalwick. We're actually able to, the contract is actually ready for signature by the board. We weren't sure if we would be looking for authorization, but we're in good shape. And I just want to also say, Mr. Chairman, a special thanks again to Mr. Schultz for all of his work on this as well as our interim plan. We're anxious to move forward with this.
I'm sure everyone in the building is anxious to move forward.
Yes. So unless there are questions from the board, it would be for signature by the board, a contract in the amount of $94,000 to Ambient Temperature Corporation for the Town Hall chiller replacement.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Just gotta ask, is it really called a chiller?
Yes. Yes.
Chill the water to go to the building.
Can you guys say that?
Technical
It
term.
sounds so
Yes.
old fashioned.
Okay. And then, Mr. Chairman and Selectman Livingston, the last item, thank you. The last action item, I'm respectfully requesting that the Board of Selectmen set your August meeting date.
I'm available the 13th or the 20th work for me.
Either one of those. I think we originally looked at doing it for the 13th,
Yes.
which would kind of align, I think, nicely with from today to then. So, yeah, I'd go with the 13th.
August 13th.
August 13th at 7 p.m. for the August meeting. Mr. Chairman, Selectman Livingston, that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Next, we move into new business and selectmen's questions. First on the list is the elementary school update by myself. Mr. Robert and I attempted to meet with the Finance Committee last week. Unfortunately, they were unable to pull a quorum together at the time of the meeting, so we did not have a formal discussion or get any feedback from them. We provided the presentation that I put together to the members for their review, and we're going to circle back with them in August to have that formal discussion and hopefully get their feedback on the potential project.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just to that point, so the board is aware, the Neshoba Valley Voice has picked up this issue, and I did talk to one of the reporters, and I just, so we're clear, I made clear to them that the Board of Selectmen are looking to start the process, that it is a process. We have a conceptual position, just so the board's aware, there may be a brief article, and he may or may not be contacting you for comment, just so you're aware on this issue.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
In regards to number 2, the building department permit fee for Selectmen, I have a hunch as to what we might want to discuss, so if I may, request that for the next meeting, the current fees and when was the last time we did the fees, and maybe a comparison to the other towns similar that we did for the alcohol licenses.
That's
Because
exactly what we were going to discuss.
Okay, yeah, so, and then we can have it for the next meeting and have it all laid out?
So I apologize, Selectman Hillman is inundated with work. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but I touched base with Robert this afternoon, and Selectman Hillman's looking for these to be updated, so Robert just said that the process is underway to start pulling that information together.
And to Selectman Livingston, to your point, I did speak to the building commissioner before this meeting, and his intent is to have all of that information for the August meeting. The current rates have not been updated since some of his since 2003, so it's been about 16 years.
I thought we updated some of them.
We did.
We updated a few of them.
The inspection ones, some of the inspection ones haven't been, so we'll have in the packet, at least for discussion, the proposal.
What about those business certificates? I know it's not the building department, but
Those are what, $25?
right.
Yeah.
$25.
We just updated those. We submitted those.
Yeah, Susan, right.
We implemented those.
And we did it,
I think we implemented those.
No, that was an update. That was an update. No,
We accepted a provision of the state law where we can do it internally, update them from time to time as deemed reasonable. But with the town meeting accepted that a couple of years back. So I know specifically relating to town clerk, which is business certificates, so.
Just made me think about it.
So that's all for the building permits? Okay, excellent. So that's the end of new business and selectmen's questions. Approval of meeting minutes for June 8th, 2019.
I no issues.
I reviewed, I had no issues.
So I'll make a motion that the meeting minutes from the June 18th, 2019 Board of Selectmen meeting be approved as submitted.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. All approved.
With that, I would like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen move into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, for Exemption 3, litigation strategy, fire phone litigation, PFAS, PFOA, and Exemption number 3, litigation strategy, Heath versus Town of Ayer. And with that, we adjourn from executive session.
I will second the motion. Roll call the vote. So, Selectman Livingston?
Aye.
The chairman says aye. We are in executive session. Thanks very much, everyone.